Hey everyone, it's Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You, and I am so happy to see you. In this video, I am delighted to share with you a new yarn from Rowan called Alpaca Sparkle. Now, Sparkle is having a moment. I don't know if you follow fashion shows or trends as much as I do, but we're seeing it everywhere. And I'll show you some examples of that. And I'm just really, really glad that Rowan has kind of gotten on board with that and has given us this beautiful new yarn. So let's take a quick look at some of the things I was saying that, Sparkle is everywhere. This is one example from Bloomingdale's, kind of an all over paillette. Here's another one. This is a Max Mara cabled sweater with little sparkles. Here's another one, Max Mara, with, again, that lace and the little paillettes. Here's kind of a big deal. This one is Brunello Cucinelli, as is this one, Brunello Cucinelli, one of my favorites. This one as well. So obviously I'm a big Brunello Cucinelli fan, and that one as well. So all of those last ones are Brunello Cucinelli. I love Bruno Cucinelli because he's definitely on the forefront and doing beautiful things that look and feel hand knit. And when I'm knitting something, I'm thinking, I'm going to knit something that looks beautiful and elegant and designer like that. So, like I said, he's kind of an inspiration. So, Rowan has captured the feel of Bruno Cucinelli, or he's not, everybody calls him Bruno. His name is Brunello Cucinelli. Has captured the feeling of his stuff and the runway look of that little bit of subtle sparkle and gleam in their new yarn, Alpaca Sparkle. So it's not the kind of sparkle that maybe you're thinking about when you think, ugh, I don't do sparkle. This is really, really subtle. Like in the pictures that I just showed you, you're not looking at that and thinking, oh my gosh, that's sparkly. It's not exactly, silver sequins, go-go dancer kind of thing. It's completely different. It's very subtle. The sparkle is luminous. It's a it's a sparkle that whispers. It doesn't shout. So anyway, it's really, really pretty. And I want to share the yarn with you. So this is the yarn. This is the white. It's called almond. But as you can see, the sparkles in there are tiny. They're just a little bit, right? Can you see how they're just tiny, very subtle? I know my lights on here are maybe even washing them out a little bit. Maybe you'd see it better come kind of from back here. But just the tiniest little paillette. And they are carried along on this fine strand that's just a slightly luminous. So the whole yarn has a little bit of that sort of luminous effect. It's not just the sequins. I would say the sequins are probably maybe every 2 inches along the strand, but it also has this beautiful halo. It's alpaca rather than mohair, so it's super, super soft. It's lovely right against the skin. I know a lot of people don't love mohair. I love mohair, but for those of you who don't love mohair, this alpaca is a really nice option. The yarn itself also has a beautiful kind of a crimp. Can you see that crimp? That gives the yarn just a little bit of texture in the knitted fabric. And you can see how it's brushed. And you can see where the paillettes are. There's one right there. You see that? And then one right along there. So it's like I said, it's very, very subtle. And Rowan's done a beautiful job with the palette, as always. Their colors are sort of timeless, classic neutrals that I think are very wearable by people with a variety of skin tones, whether you're warm or cool, light or fit or dark. Um, the colors really work and they have a nice palette. So let me share those with you. Okay, the first one is this is called almond, and this is the off-white. Really pretty. You can see the little sparkles in there, right? Okay, and then there is the silver, which is this very cool kind of pale gray. And see how the sparkles catch the light. And then we have a dark gray. This is called onyx. I don't really think it's as dark as an onyx, but that's what they've called it. And you can see, I think the sparkles show up a little better here against the darker base yarn. And then we have Arctic, which is this really soft, icy blue color. You can see the sparkles in there. And then, of course, there is this one called Ballet Slipper. It's pretty pink. It's not really a warm pink. It's kind of a neutral pink, but it's very pale, very icy color. And then I saved this one for last because I wanted to show you something special about this. This is camel, which is just a really pretty kind of, well, camel color. And what I want to show you about this is if you look at all of the sparkles like in the blue, you can see that the paillettes are silver. In the pink, they're kind of silver. So they're all the same in these five colors, but in the camel, the paillettes are gold. Can you see that? So I think that's really nice that they've taken this warm color and they have given warm sparkle to it. So I think that really looks nice. Um, This is not my this is not really a go-to color for me, but I'm really loving this. I bought an extra bag of pink, of course, because I plan to make something out of it. But when I look at that camel, I think, wow, I really need something in that, huh? Tell me in the comments which color is your favorite. We like I said, we had this at the tea on Saturday, and a lot of people bought it. I think the onyx and the almond were kind of the favorites, and then also the silver. But really, all of it's really, really pretty. So let's talk about the nature of the yarn, its gauge, how much yardage there is, and all of that. So this is each ball is a 50-gram ball. So it has 103 yards and it's so incredibly light. And it's considered a bulky. Its native gauge, according to the ball band, is 13 stitches over 4 inches on a US 10. Um, that's pretty bulky. That's it's not super bulky, but I think of a bulky as something, a yarn that's going to knit between 11 and 13 stitches. So solidly in the bulky range. And typically when you see a bulky yarn, you're going to have about 130 stitches per 100 grams. So like 65 yards per 50 grams. And this one has 103 yards. So solidly 40% more yardage per weight than your standard bulky. So that to me just points to the fact that it is so light and soft. I mentioned soft, right? Soft and light means that it's going to be very comfortable to wear. It doesn't feel heavy on your body. It certainly doesn't feel scratchy. So this is definitely lovely for next to skin wear. And I think, honestly, it's a great value when you think about the yardage in there. So let's have a look at the swatch that I did. So, I had to swatch this at a variety of gauges. So I started with a US 8, and that got me a gauge of 15 stitches over 4 inches. And when I start with a needle size that's a lot smaller than recommended, and I don't get kind of the gauge that I expect. Like when I knit with an 8, I sort of expect to get something like 18 stitches over 4 inches. If it's a really bouncy yarn, I expect to get maybe 19 or 20. So I was surprised to find that on the US 8, I got 15 stitches over 4 inches. So I sort of feel like that's probably close to the lower end of what you're going to get. That's probably about as tight as you would want to knit it. I didn't think I would get much change with the 9, so I jumped to a US 10, and that gave me this fabric right here, which is very pretty. That's 14 stitches over 4 inches, which is still a little bit tighter than the recommended gauge. And I needed to go up to a 10 and a half. The ball band recommends a 10, but I personally had to go to a 10 and a half to get the gauge here of 13 stitches over 4 inches. So this is the sweet spot according to Rowan for the yarn where they like to see it. Then of course I had to go up a little bit more just to see. This is the yarn on an 11, and that is solidly 3 stitches to the inch, 12 stitches over 4 inches, which, as everybody knows, is the perfect gauge for Coco Knits Emma. So yes, this would be a beautiful yarn to make Emma with. I don't think it would be overly see-through, maybe a little bit, but I don't think you'd be arrested for wearing it. And then, of course, and that on the 11, like I said, is 12 stitches over 4 inches. And then I went up to a 13 where it really is fairly loose. I think some of the patterns in the book, the collection that Lisa Richardson did, use a 13, and that's really a very open fabric, probably as open as I would want to have for a garment. And this is 11 stitches over 4 inches. Now, I haven't blocked this. Um, I'm a big fan of steam blocking, but with these paillettes in here, I would not steam block it because you want to be really careful because you don't want them to melt. So if I were blocking this, I would definitely pin it and spritz it until it was completely saturated and then let it dry flat. But it really is a very versatile yarn in terms of gauge. I mean, from 15 stitches all the way up to 10 stitches. Very, very pretty. Can you see the sparkles at all? Is that coming through on the camera? I can see them from here. But again, to my point, it's very, very subtle. This is not going to be like in your face. Um, I'm bedazzled, bejeweled and bedazzled, right? We all remember those from our youth, huh? So let's have a look at the collection that Lisa Richardson put together for this yarn. It really is very, very nice. Okay, so the first sweater that I wanted to feature, and these are not the order in the magazine or anything, they're just the order that I like, is Charisse, which is a beautiful lace cardigan. I love the way this looks. Just a nice, easy-fitting, drop-shouldered V-neck cardigan. And you can see that the lace at this scale, it doesn't look overly delicate. I think it's just perfect. That's Charisse. And then this is Paget, which is also lace. I don't really consider this lace, but more open work. It is lace, obviously, anytime you have yarn overs. It's lace, but it doesn't have the kind of lacy feel. So I think this is really pretty. Again, a drop shouldered pullover, and with that little bit of sparkle, it looks great with jeans. You could style it any way you like. So you can see the drop shoulder, really good looking. This is Doors, and this was the major love of the tee. Everybody bought this. We also have a sample of it that everybody could try on. So super cute. This has this same lace motif that that Charisse does, but it has a turned neck and turned sleeves, which is really cute. I think it looks just adorable. And it would be nice kind of just on its own with a cami, or you can wear it over a blouse. I have a picture that I'll show you later where um, Keisha and I were playing with it in the shop when we took a break from changing the yarns. So isn't that cute? To go actually here. So this is also doors. This is that same sweater as this one, but here it is with long sleeves. So a completely different look, much less sporty, more dressy. Look how pretty it is with her beautiful satin silk skirt. So if you ended up buying, rather than buying the book, buying the pattern individually, you would get both of these if you bought the doors pattern. Isn't that pretty? Tell me in the comments which you like better. Do you like the long sleeved or the short sleeved? I can't decide. Like I said, I pulled yarn in the pink to make one of these, but I haven't decided which one. Okay, the next one is Ruby. And Ruby is a scarf, obviously, and it uses that same kind of lace motif that we have seen indoors. Nice, generously sized scarf. There's also a hat that goes with, that's a separate pattern, but it's shown on Ravelry, very cute. Yeah, see how nice and long it is? Very cozy, and I think that would just be really elegant addition to your winter coat. And this one is gorgeous. This is called Lauren, and this also comes in two versions. I love the back. That's what really makes this project shine, I think, is this sexy little keyhole back. From the front, it's just, kind of a basic little V-neck tee. And then in the back, you've got that cute little pop. And then here it is again in the long sleeve. Just a simple sweater in the front. And I love the simple clean lines here. You just have a little bit of garter stitch at the cuff, a little ribbing at the back, not much going on around the neck. So it looks very clean and modern. And then you have that cute keyhole in the back. Very cute. Again, tell me in the chat which you like better. Do you like um the the short sleeve or the long sleeve? Sort of one of the things that is appealing about this one to me is that it has a set-in sleeve versus the others that have a drop shoulder. This is also much, much easier with just a stockinette and lets the kind of the yarn take center stage there. And this is Bardot, and this is knit at kind of a tighter gauge than the others, and it has a different lace pattern, but very pretty in that pink. This is for those of you who love accessories. This would make a beautiful winter wrap. It's not, I don't believe it's actually cabled. I think these are just increases and decreases. So yeah, really pretty, huh? And then this is so cute. This is called Fleming. Little cardigan. Do you see how they've left that turned neck open so that you can run a scarf through it? That to me is adorable. It's very kind of retro, um, vintage, pretty with those set-in sleeves. And you can do anything with that. You could make that in this cream or the onyx and then completely change the look of it by what scarf you put through it. So I think that's super cute. She's so adorable, isn't she? I love it. Okay. And this is Kelly. And this is sort of a simplified version of Charisse. It's just a V-neck cardigan in stockinette with a little pocket in there. And I think it's interesting that Lisa has been able to provide a variety of sort of feels for the yarn. So, you might not be into lace from either a stylistic standpoint or from a technique standpoint. You can still use the yarn to make a beautiful sweater that has a lot of interest both in the texture and a little bit of sparkle. Very classic. This is a kind of a day into evening thing. Love that pink, huh? Super cute. It looks really great over her kind of monochromatic outfit. I love that. And then this is just a drop shouldered pullover that uses all the colors. They've got that, well, maybe not all the colors. They've got Arctic and almond and ballet slipper. And I believe this is the onyx in there. Maybe that neck is gray, but very pretty. Tell me if you like this one, if this appeals to you. I believe that, yep, they also show it in just a solid, which maybe to me appeals a little bit more. So pretty with her sequin skirt. I love the way she's styled that. So again, simple and elegant. This is what they call a swancho, like a sweater poncho thing. It's a poncho with sleeves, and this is done in the onyx and silver. A little more interest going on for those of you who really enjoy knitting in the round and you want an easier fit. This is kind of a fun garment. And you could do that, of course, in this stranded design, or you could do it in a solid color. It looks so cute on her, doesn't it? And then we have a couple pretty little accessories. So this is the Gardner scarf. It's two balls and it's just a little triangle that's worked from the point here, worked with increases. And there it is in the onyx. And you can wear it obviously forward and back. Very pretty. This would make a great gift. If you have somebody that you want to knit a little something for, it's just two skeins, zip, zip, zip. Very cute. And this one is one that we had a lot of fun with at the shop. This is Monroe, and it's really just a long, skinny bit of stockinette that's allowed to curl in, and it has a little bit of a curved edge. And you tie it like a tie. So you can see that little curved edge there. And you just tie it like a tie. And I think it looks great. And they're playing up that sparkle with her cute little sequined cami. See how that pink looks so nice against the gray? I love that. All right. And then the last one is this hat I was talking about, Corday. This one they've done in two colors, the camel and the almond, and they're featuring it with that um, little kerchief. And this one they're showing with the lace scarf. Very pretty. Again, that hat would make a great gift if you wanted to do just the hat, or you could do the hat and the scarf set. Either way would be super fun. So I love that. And what I did was I kind of picked my favorites and I put them together as kits on the website. So I have under the navigation, if you look under kits, you can see the Alpaca Sparkle kits that I have available. And I can tell you, I just put them out in the newsletter Tuesday morning, and they have been so, so popular. I talked to Trisha Malcolm and she said, make sure you tell people that this has been very popular and that if I'm not going to be able to get it again right away. So if you like it, don't wait. Um, because it's probably not going to be until after the season is over that we'll be able to get it again. But I did order quite a bit of it. So I'm very happy about that. And we have both that Monroe tie and the Doors little vest in the shop to share with you. So if you are local and you want to come and see those, please do come and try them on. In the meantime, I have a picture of Keisha and me at the shop, like I said, when we were taking a break from moving all the yarn around, to play with those. So let me get those up and show you. So this is Keisha. I told her to do the kitty, to model it and move it, and I thought she looked really cute in that. Um, Here's me trying to do the Ginny. But the point I wanted to make here is that I'm wearing it with a blouse, and Keisha's wearing it just over a cami, and I think it looks super cute in both. And I have a couple more to share with you. So I wanted to show you the Monroe. Yes, here we go. Doesn't she look cute? It's just it's just like a little something. I'm wearing it kind of over a blouse here, which gives you a different perspective. Um, yeah, so it's pretty easy, and that's like a one ball project. So very fun. We do have fun in the shop. Anyway, so I hope that you have now maybe a little better um, understanding of the yarn, a sneak peek at it. It is in stock and available, and a look at the patterns and kind of an understanding of why I think they have done this spark, why now, right? Because they really are everywhere. The sparkles are definitely here to stay. And it's not, I don't think it's really a trend. I think it's trending, if you know what I mean. It's not a fad. It's not something that's going to be here today and gone tomorrow, but it is trending. And I think we will see more and more of it in very subtle kind of day and evening wear. So if you're thinking about sparkle, or you've never done sparkle, or you love sparkle, I think this is a yarn that you're really going to enjoy. It's beautiful to knit with. It's incredibly soft to wear and lovely against your skin. It's available now. So the links to the different projects are in the description below. And I hope that you choose a project to dip your toe in or go all the way into Alpaca Sparkle by Rowan. And if you are new to the channel and you are not subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And until next time, keep knitting and create something beautiful.